Peace, peace. First, just want to give thanks to the ancestors who came before us, dealing with questions of race, dealing with black liberation, dealing with freedom. Even those who had so much mercy in spite of persecution, suffering, deaths, bombings, still stood for justice. But I'm on here to respond and clarify and talk about a post I made earlier dealing with racism. And it being kind of, I don't want to say funny, you know what I'm saying, but, ridiculous at the same time, how a lot of white people out here screaming reverse racism, and it seems like they're even, enjoying it, you know, to feel like victims, you know what I'm saying, and have something to say. But what I definitely want to clarify is exactly what racism is. I know it's been a bunch of well, it's been one video in particular that a lot of people have been circulating around where supposedly I didn't even watch the video, you know what I'm saying, because on a large scale it really isn't holding no weight. But I guess some young black man had beat up a Trump supporter. So I've seen white people sharing this video, you know what I'm saying, frequently, consistently, and calling this racism. And that's where this talk really begins, because that's not racism. Racism is bigger than a black individual not liking, I can even say hating a white person. That might have a lot to do with prejudice inwardly. You feeling a certain way about someone of another race, religion, you know what I'm saying, creed, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But that's not racism. That's prejudice. And I say that because in going back to the ancestors, we give thanks to Dr. Cress Welsing, who articulated this already very well. That's what I'm saying. This isn't a new thing. This isn't no new phenomenon, a new understanding that black brothers and sisters across the world understand and have come to know. But for all these people that's out here claiming that, it's disgusting on both sides and it's racism, no, it's not racism. Now understand this. If a black person, whether it's because of action or whatever, feels a certain way about a white person, about white people, the most you can really see is, not liking them, you know what I'm saying? And some extreme other occasions where, they may get tired of it, basically a hate crime, whether that's, a violent thing, you know what I'm saying, a punching, stabbing, robbing, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But understand this. We don't have, as black people, we don't have enough institutional power to really be racist, to really exert racism. Because racism is a system. Now, on the other hand, if a white person feels a certain way about a black person, understand this white person may be a judge. Understand this white person may be a police officer. This white person may have the authority, in a collective group of white people, may have the authority to pass down legislation. That judge can, when white people are racist, the racism shows up in a black person and a white person having the same crime, getting charged for the same crime, but the black person goes to jail for 10 years. And the white person gets, or a mandatory sentence, or the white person gets a probation without any jail time. Statistics show that between blacks and white, the same crime, the punishment is much harsher on black people. The same crime, the same everything. But for a black person, the punishment is more severe. That is racism. That is racism showing its teeth. And it's a whole system. Another thing about racism, this from all my Trump supporters who think that black people who are in the know really was supporting Hillary Clinton. No. Another way in where racism gets targeted. Racism, true racism, is where under the Clinton administration, uh, we see the three strike rule, and again mandatory sentences. You know, the crack epidemic. You know what I'm saying? You getting lengthy sentences for a little amount of drugs, even non-violent crime just with drugs. You're getting it. You're going to prison, and they're locking you up and throwing away the key, right? With no mercy. They're putting legislation in because you understand, especially at that time, and unfortunately, you know, it's still an epidemic problem. You know, with crack. You know what I'm saying? The urban areas. You know what I'm saying? You know that a lot of the people that was jumping on that thing was people of color, unfortunately, and way for reasons that I won't even begin to explain now. But fast forward into the present, 2016, when it's an epidemic for drugs in the white communities, the suburbs, heroin. Now we have to be lenient. This is a serious problem. These people need help. They don't need to be sent to prison. They need help. They need to get sent to mental evaluations and drug rehabs. We can't send them away. What about their families? But this whole dialogue and rhetoric and way of thinking when it comes to black people is